Greetings, my fellow freedom lovers and sovereign thinkers. Thank you for tuning in to L3 Podcast. My name is Craig, transmitting from the beautiful swampy mangroves of South Florida. And today's date is Wednesday, January 6, 2020. Early Wednesday morning. And I'm just lounging out. And I'm just going to decide to talk about a couple of articles before I go to bed. A couple of them caught my eye. And I was like, this has to be addressed. So, without me ranting, let's talk about these. First article came from the Epoch Times. Under the Trump administration, White House. Trump signs memo to block Antifa members from entering U.S. That's what Isabel Van Bruggen has to say. President Donald Trump has signed a memorandum seeking to block the entry of individuals affiliated with the far-left movement Antifa to the United States. The White House announced on January 5th saying that the violence spurred on by the group endangers the fabric of the nation. Antifa activists have brutally attacked our law-abiding friends, neighbors, and business owners and destroyed historic landmarks that our communities have cherished for decades. White House Press Secretary Kayleigh McEnany. Okay, I was like a little bit lost there, a little tongue-tied. Said in a statement Tuesday night, and quote here, "This violence is lawlessness and has no place in the United States and will be called out for the domestic terrorism that it is." Yeah, you can hear a train in the background. All right. Today, President Donald J. Trump signed a memorandum to ensure that federal officials assesses action of Antifa activists in light of federal laws that restrict the entry of aliens associated with terrorist organizations and aliens intent on criminal activity. President Trump will not allow Antifa or any terrorist organization to destroy our great country, the statement said. Signing the safety of American citizens, the president's memorandum states that under the Immigration and Nationality Act, aliens who have engaged or who are likely to engage in terrorist activity, and those aliens who seek entry into the United States to engage principally or incidentally in unlawful activity are rendered inadmissible. It states that active membership in a criminal association must be considered in determining whether an individual may be seeking to enter the country or to engage in unlawful activity. Antifa, which is described as an anarcho-communist movement, publicly identifies with communist and socialist ideology. The group was described by Attorney General William Barr on August 9, 2020, as a revolutionary group intent on establishing socialism or communism in the United States. Barr has said that the extremist group has been engaged with this goal since the first day of the Trump administration. Trump, meanwhile, has previously said that Antifa would declare the United States would declare Antifa a terrorist group, but the administration has not taken the formal step of doing so. Shortly before the release of the memorandum, Trump on Twitter described Antifa as a terrorist organization, warning the movement to stay out of Washington during January 6th planned protests that have been organized by a number of groups as members of Congress are expected to convene in a joint session to count electoral votes. Authorities in Washington have warned against bringing guns to Wednesday's planned protest, and police on Monday arrested the head of the Proud Boys on suspicion of burning a Black Lives Matter banner that was torn down from Asbury United Methodist Church in the nation's capital last month. Law enforcement is watching you very closely. And they did the acts, the Department of Defense, the Justice Department, DHS Gov, DHS_roof, Secretary Bernhardt at Secret Service at FBI, Trump wrote. The memo states that based on reliable reporting, Antifa is directly or indirectly responsible for some of the recent lawlessness in communities across the nation. Antifa has exploited tragedies to advance a radical leftist, anarchist, and often violent agenda. The memo states, adding that the group has long used otherwise permissible demonstrations to engage in lawlessness, criminal behavior, and further its radical agenda. The memo cites alleged Antifa attacks on independent journalist Andy Ngo, who in June 2020 filed a lawsuit against Portland Antifa for assault, battery, and intentional infliction of emotional distress, and accused the anarcho-communist group for running a racketeering enterprise. The violence spurred on by Antifa, such as hurling projectiles and incendiary devices at police, burning vehicles, and violently confronting police in defiance of local curfews, is dangerous to life and to the fabric of our nation, the memo says. It cites a number of other incidences marred by violence in recent years, where saw Antifa protesters physically assault individuals, cause property damage, and threaten violence against law enforcement officers. It also come today at Senator Josh Hawley claimed the group of Antifa members threatened his family in their Virginia home. The memorandum states that the Secretary of State will consult with the Attorney General and the Secretary of Homeland Security in reviewing information from the Department of Justice to assess whether to classify Antifa as a terrorist organization. Listing Antifa as aliens who are members of an identified criminal organization will also be considered, the memo says. These violent acts under the rights of peaceful protesters and destroy their lives, liberty, and property of the people of this nation, especially those most vulnerable. And of course, everyone gonna say that Trump's an effing Nazi and this and that. But based on some of the videos I reviewed, there's a lot of merit what he signed, like him or not. And don't be wrong. I'm just wondering how come they knew a member for the Ku Klux Klan. You know what? A lot of them are infiltrated anyway by the FBI, so I wouldn't even think about it. But one thing I know for sure, this is the case. Anyone that is contributing money to this group are harboring domestic terrorists. So they can go further with that. And I'm just like, if that's the case, do it. Because here's the thing. What's going on is called foreign influences. John J. warned us about this in Federalist Papers 2-5 on the dangers of foreign nations and foreign influences on this republic. But remember this, a lot of these individuals, they reap what they sow. It's a scientific method called cause and effect. It doesn't matter what organization it is, I'd always judge them by their actions. Just watch the videos and all that. I treat anything that comes to tyrants or tyranny, I treat them all equally. Garbage. Alright? And I know a lot of folks aren't too thrilled about it. I remember some of them were involved in the little dispute down here in Fort Lauderdale. Fortunately, it was only minor damage. I always told the shop owners, get some Dobermans, pit bulls, or 12-gauge shotguns. They'll go the other way. Even a bunch of them try to hit Parkersburg, West Virginia. All right. I'll tell you one thing. People have their firearms, they didn't even show up. So, things are, say, setting up step by step. If folks want to screw around, it's gonna burn you when you least expect it. Always question all these movements. They all claim that you want to do something is right. When you want to spread that anarcho communist flags, I treat you just like the Nazis. No difference. Two separate wings from the same buzzard or vulture. Well, bottom line, your revolution is going to fail. And the ones that are pulling the strings for you will cut you loose and possibly terminate you. And I say that out of fidelity. No malice, no bitterness, but your principles are invalid. Well, enough of that. I want to do one more here. It came out yesterday as well. Yesterday afternoon. And it says here, by Reason.com, New York bill would let the state put people in detention if deemed a significant threat to public health. It's interesting because I'll read this. Ooh, sorry. That's what Billy Binion has to say. New York lawmakers are mulling a bill that would allow the state to detain anyone carrying or suspected carrying a contagious disease that makes them a significant threat to public health. Democratic Assemblyman Nick Perry of New York's 58th District spearheaded Bill A416, which holds that the government may order removal and or detention of such a person or a group of such persons in a medical facility or other appropriate facility or promise designated by the governor or his or her delegate. Confirmed carriers would be released only after he or she is no longer contagious, and a suspected carrier could be set free only when the government proves that he or she is not infected or has not been exposed to such a disease. Those who may have been in contact with the alleged carriers may also be detained and released when they test negative for the malady in question, or if a suspected carrier with whom they interacted is deemed to be negative. What could go wrong? The bill's language is noticeably vague and defining with the parameters around the disease type, leaving the government wide latitude in conducting its risk analysis. Should it pass, Governor Andrew Cuomo will be the first state leader to have the power at his disposal. The two-term Democrat has navigated the COVID-19 pandemic with an array of inflexible regulations, from what food bars can serve if they like to stay open, on how hospitals are allowed to vaccinate New Yorkers. Perry defended his bill on Twitter. I am an American who understands the Constitution and is sacred and provides us with the right to agree or disagree and hold different positions on issues that may relate to our civil and constitutional rights, he wrote. This man is one effing liar. All right. The legislation was originally introduced during the 2015-2016 session in response to the Ebola virus. This bill hasn't been actively pushed for passage because the Ebola threat was ended thanks to a vaccine. Perry continued, however, many learned scientists believe that the likelihood of such a deadly pandemic is still real, and somewhere in the future there may be the need for people to be protected from a person or persons carrying a very deadly and transmittable virus. It is difficult to believe that the bill's reintroduction didn't come specifically in a response to COVID-19, though it is a serious virus, is also no Ebola, which carries an average case fatality of 50%, with some outbreaks reaching as high as 90%. It is also difficult to believe that the bill, in practice, will not take away or violate any rights or psych liberties that all Americans are entitled to under our Constitution, either state or federal, Perry claims. Though he presents his bill as a last-stop measure for the pandemic on par with Ebola, the vagueness of its approach gives the state a great deal of discretion in locking people up who might have some sort of unnamed illnesses, as well as people who merely interacted with someone who might have that illness. That's especially misguided when considering that prisons and jails have been a hotbed for COVID-19, with the U.S. correctional institutions recently surpassed 500,000 cases. 2020 was a big year for testing the limits of government power. Americans were made aware how the infectious certain government regulations and bureaucratic hurdles, while also dealing with widespread business closures that likely have negligible impact on public health. At the same time, much of the country seems to collectively question government overzealousness in the criminal justice system with renewed calls for reform. Assemblyman Perry aligns himself with those latter advocates, though it appears he does not see how his most recent bill might be incompatible. Well, I'll tell you one thing. Anyone that's co-sponsors it, votes for it, if Governor Cuomo signs it, if they get seem to get infection, you throw their asses in there. And let's see if he likes it, they like it or not. The truth of the matter is, folks, it does breach due process. Okay? It really does. So, and according to the New York Constitution's Bill of Rights, it says here, Article 1, Section 1, rights, privileges, and franchise secure. To say no member of this state shall be disenfranchised or deprived of any rights or privileges secured to any citizen thereof unless by the law of the land or the judgment of his or her peers. Okay, we'll leave it at that. And due process, which is Section 6. All the way down. Okay, sorry about that. I'm getting ready to yawn here. All the way down here. Protection of certain enumerated rights. There's other things on here as well. If I'm correct, it should be down the bottom of the sentence here. Yeah, final sentence. No person shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. Let's see if we get one more in here. Hold on. Yeah, I'm just browsing here. I should have done this first. Equal protections of law. No person shall be denied. It's Section 11. No person shall be denied the equal protection of the laws of the state or any subdivision thereof. Okay, so that's another one there. So I'm just like looking through. Death, no. No. And that would be it, to be very honest. But that's the same, at least there's a couple of those stuff I addressed. Things invalid, null and void. And it's considered a pairing contract, so. Article 1, Section 10. the U.S. Constitution talks about that the states can't have impairing contracts of obligations. So I'm just paraphrasing that. You can look it up yourselves. Hey, it's null and void. They can stick it. When the people in New York is going to call them out on it. And I know they have certain resolutions. I think New York City is one of them that honors stuff in the Patriot Act, including due process. So use that as well, and find out if other states, cities, and states will do the same. So I should have put this more out, but I do apologize. But definitely look it up on your resolutions pertaining to the Patriot Act. I know New York City has it. And that will be it. I thank everyone for listening. Plus, feel free to download and share this throughout your social media networks. If you have any questions, comments, or something interesting you want to check out, whatever you do, please send your correspondence to Detention. Furthermore, I'll leave the footnotes of these articles on my speaker page. And if you want to contact me, you can hit me at LokiLuck3@gmail.com or LokiLuckNumbers03@protonmail.com. If you're going to donate, you can hit me at PayPal.me and Cash.app or the Cash.app. They're both /LokiLuck3. And hey, donate to the 8 Times. It'd be great. Or supportreason.com. All right. Get ready to go to bed here. So once again, thank you for your time. Please always remember that demoniac resistance is healthy for the soul and can liberate humanity. Till next time, take care of yourselves. Keep on spreading the love. And may your guardian spirits be with you.